Good morning. Mortgage rates are continuing to decline, and we know you love to see it. We've got new data on the improved interest rates, a recent surge in purchase applications, as well as everyone's favorite topic, inflation. Let's jump right into the details and start to sort them out. Let's get to this week's bottom line. Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are excited to bring you some of the most up to date market data from the housing industry. So let's get right into it. With regard to mortgage rates for conventionally financed conforming 30-year loans, we saw solid progress continue. Rates decreased 19 basis points to go from 6.42% to 6.23%. And this is the lowest rate since September 2022 and about 1% below the peak we saw in October 2022. Now, with regard to how this improvement in interest rates has affected the buyer demand, we saw a massive increase, nearly 28% week over week on mortgage purchase applications, which actually now puts them only down 35% year over year. Now, this is great to see because, as we've explained on here before, but it is definitely worth bringing up again, mortgage rates and inflation are married. Where inflation goes, mortgage rates are undoubtedly going to follow. Now, 2022 was a year of historic inflation, and therefore we saw a historic increase to mortgage rates. Well, 2023 is gearing up to be the opposite in many ways. So far in 2023, all reports have showed cooling inflation. And last week, we also got the Producer Price Index, or the PPI, report, which shows that overall producer inflation decreased by an additional 0.5%. Year over year, inflation has declined by 6.2%, which is much cooler than expectations, which had this pegged at 6.8%. It's a massive improvement because at its peak, this was at 11.7%. So now it's almost half of where it was. So, Justin, another component of inflation, and because of what the Fed takes into account when considering their rate hikes, is unemployment. I hear you've got some interesting data for us regarding this topic.
Thanks, Jake. So today I'm going to be talking about the initial jobless claims, which individuals filing for unemployment benefits for the first time. We saw this fall 17,000, which brought the total down to 190,000. In terms of continuing claims, or those folks that continue to receive benefits after they initially claim, this increased by 17,000, which brought it up to 1.65 million. Now, we've seen in recent reports that many of the jobs being created currently are part time work, and it is often being filled by individuals who have one or more jobs already. Could be another sign of weakening in the jobs market, as many employers are starting to focus on part time workers, along with cutting current hours of employers rather than just laying them off completely. We're seeing this in the numbers as the amount of people claiming or filing for initial claims falls. The number of people who are staying on unemployment for an elongated period of time continues to increase. It's very interesting stuff and things that we should definitely keep an eye out for. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, thanks so much, Justin. We appreciate your insight on that. And it's definitely an interesting topic for sure. It's something we're going to want to keep a close eye on because, as we know, the unemployment rate is something that the Fed watches to determine rate hikes and overall monetary policy, which affects interest rates, which affects housing. We've learned that very well in 2022. Let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit. I wanted to touch on builder sentiment, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what those on the front lines, putting up these new homes, are thinking about and talking about. And for that, we received a new report from the NAHB. This is a home builder survey where overall we saw an increase in builder and buyer sentiment. We have a quote from Jerry Conter, who's the chairman. He says, "It appears that the low point for builder sentiment in this cycle was registered in December, even as many builders continue to use a variety of incentives, including price reductions, to bolster sales." He also said that the rise in builder sentiment also means that cycle lows for permits and starts are likely near, and a rebound for home building could be underway in 2023. Now, digging into this a little bit deeper, we got a report that shows that housing starts were down about 22% year over year. And more specifically, and most importantly, single family starts were actually up 11.3% at a unit cost of about 909,000. But they are still down 25% year over year, which is going to contribute to our inventory issues we already have. Lastly, for housing permits, which is where we could predict future supply to come from, this came down 1.6% for the month and is down 30% year over year. Targeting in on single family homes, they were down 6.5% last month, putting them down 35% year over year. So that's all we got for you this week, folks. We appreciate you tuning in and spending a couple minutes here on this Monday morning. We're going to continue to keep an eye on the market and bring you this data. So be sure to keep it tuned here each week for more of The Bottom Line.